I know that with Parkinson's, balance can really become an issue. My father had that problem. He always felt like he was going to go over backwards, and what we found really worked for him, we just got some of those real inexpensive lifts that you put in shoes. They're generally meant to take the impact from walking, but instead what that did for him was get him up on his toes. And when you're up on your toes, you balance a little bit better. That's the thing with dance and so forth. You'll see people, they're up on their toes when they're dancing, and that becomes the pivot point for them. So when we're walking with Parkinson's, if we're walking in heavy-duty shoes, those shoes are actually doing the work for us. So we need to be talking about our posture, we need to be talking about the legs and the ankles, and we need to be talking about torso strength. And you're going, well, why is all of that just for balancing? Well, with posture, if you're walking with your head down, you're already unbalanced. So if you're trying to do any kind of balances, whether you're moving up and down next to the kitchen sink and doing things back and forth, actually you're balancing from foot to foot as you're moving. And here's your head down. We want to get you to practice that head up. The legs, the ankles, and the feet need to be strong. We've done a lot of those exercises. You've seen them on my other videos, my favorite being the up on the toes, back on the heels thing, so that it helps balance out by strengthening here in front. But what we're going to talk about too is the torso strength, because if you go to move and you catch yourself, you're actually tightening things up in the torso, and you don't want to be hurting yourself, so we'll have a couple of strength moves for those as well. My two favorite exercises for posture is the crack the walnut between the shoulder blades. Just try and crack the walnut between the shoulder blades. Watch what happens if I'm standing here and I crack. It just automatically brings my torso up. And the other one, well, we're going to crack it with our buttocks. And so you can imagine it if you'd like to, but here we go. I'm going to crack it with my buttocks because I want to show you what happens to this part of my body when I do that. A crack, you can see it comes forward, and that's putting my ears over my shoulders, over my hips for posture. So it would be crack once, crack twice, and there you are in a nice upright position. For your legs and ankles and things, I showed you the up on your toes, back on your heels, but you can also do a couple of ankle circles while you're sitting there in the lounge chair. Do these with no shoes on, and be sure and go both directions. Doesn't matter whether you're going this way or opposites. When you start, just be sure and do your ankle circles otherwise in the opposite direction. And then toe curls. You can't see it too much in my socks, but I'm curling my toes and pointing and I'm pulling them back. And what I'm trying to get you to do is make those ankles work, and of course that's going to also work the lower, the calves and things. But we tend to rely on shoes, solid, heavy shoes for stability. And unfortunately what happens is that our body starts to get used to that and weakens. And that's really a hazardous situation. But if you go to the Facebook written guide, I have some ideas that you can do to strengthen wearing lighter weight shoes. For torso strength, like I said, we want the torso strength just in case we start to fall, or as you're balancing, you're going to find that your torso kind of moves around and you're going to need to be strong. What I'd like you to think about is that we're going to try and take this shoulder and we're going to pretend like we're going to pull it to the hip, but we're going to use these muscles down the side to do it. We're not going to reach and lean. What we're going to do is consciously tighten the muscle, try and pull the shoulder down with these tight muscles. And on the other side, you want to pull, tighten, 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 and get that down. And again, tighten it up. Tighten it up. And then we're going to do a massage. We're going to massage our spine with our navel. That means you're going to suck your tummy in, and then you're going to take your tummy up and down, about this fast. Try and hold that stomach in. Hold it in, up and down. Think about it. You might not be able to do it right at first, but remember, practice makes perfect. Okay, the balancing. We're just going to do a couple of very easy balances to begin with. You're probably going to want to concentrate more on the first exercises than the balance exercises because of what we talked about. Okay, on one foot, when we do a balance, let's stand in the kitchen next to the counter, unless you happen to have an actual grab bar or grab person, and the kitchen counter doesn't go anywhere. That's why I really like it, and everybody's got one. When you're balancing, you can start with a grab. Then as you continue, you can just kind of touch. And then as you get even more practiced at it, you can do the tap for stability until you can have your hand totally off. Okay, so if you're standing on one foot, what can you do with the foot? You don't want it just hanging out there. You can tuck it behind. You can tuck it behind the ankle. You can put it here on your calf, put the sole of the foot onto the calf, and you can hang on here. When you're doing this, you're going to need to have your head up, and you're going to look at a spot on the wall that's at about eye height. And then you have your grab here with this hand. And then as you get better, you can begin to just touch and tap until you can stand on one foot. Do it for several seconds. You have 2 feet. So, remember, grab, eyes forward, at a spot on the wall at eye height, and you can tap and tap until you can balance. Now, when you balance, you're going to feel yourself going back and forth, and I want you to do these not in heavy shoes, but barefoot, sock foot, or real lightweight shoes, if you will. Nothing sloppy, though. The next balance is with a split foot. You get to balance on 2 feet now, and you just take one step back, okay? Your feet are forward and back, and I want you to get your weight so it's balanced kind of equally on both feet. You don't want to be way back here, and you don't want to be forward. You want to be sort of in the middle here. And again, it's the head up and looking forward, okay? And that's not too terribly hard, but you're going to feel a little bit wobbly perhaps, so your hands are going to be out a little bit at your side and down. Whether you have the hang on or the tap, you can have the other hand as the balance. Kind of that tightrope thing. Okay, let's do the other side. Take a step back, get yourself positioned and look at your spot on the wall, and do your tap, your hold, or your hands down at your side. And 3 and 2 and 1. Do a few of those balances. Good solid surface. Now, we're going to do the same thing, only different. It's the sofa cushion. My sofa cushions are pretty soft and pretty thick. The thinner the sofa cushion and the harder the sofa cushion, the easier it's going to be for you to balance and do these. But sometimes you just got to work with what you got. But if you want the challenge, get the squishy sofa cushion. And what you're going to do is, again, we're going to stand on one foot and tuck, eyes forward. Whoa! Adds a whole new dimension, a whole new challenge to that. You might be able to see I'm moving around just a little bit because my foot keeps going up and down into the soft spots of the cushion. Hand down, feet down. Position yourself again, tuck, tuck, or stand here, eyes forward. I could cheat, I could use 2 if I wanted to. And balance. Not as easy as you would think. And down. Now, I'd like you to do the same thing with that forward and back. And that's where you're going to need a sofa cushion as opposed to just one off of the chair, because the chair cushions don't let you get your feet far enough apart. But if you don't have a big sofa cushion, take 2 chair cushions and use them. Okay, so here we go. Same thing. Get yourself balanced kind of forward and back with the weight. Eyes forward again, and remember your hands will be at your side. And balance. And if you want to just do a little bit more, you can always bring your hands up and down, up and down, up and down. And change positions with your feet. Okay. Good posture. Crack a walnut if you need to. Hands down on your grab bar, eyes forward, and balance. Now remember, it's the one step back. You don't have one foot directly in front of the other one. You actually have them offset somewhat. Okay? And again, you can do your little flapping. You can go up and down. Both arms together is actually harder. I think that's when we see the guys that are doing the balances on the tightrope and they have the long poles, but that's what they're doing, is with their hands. Go ahead and try that. See what you think. And be sure and join me on Facebook for that written guide, as I told you about. And if you want to, you can always contact me with any questions through the private messaging on Facebook. Thank you.